This is one of the most juicy conversations that don't really get a lot of attention whenever this is actually being discussed. And this is relating to Black Americans. A lot of people do not know that the key thing that is keeping America today is the effort, the strength, the work of Black Americans. And I don't know why a lot of people have this illusion that every single thing created, invented, and every single thing they are literally enjoying today is from the white man pockets. But anyways, this conversation is going to shock a lot of people, especially for those ones living in America. Be it you are a white folks, be it you're an immigrant, be it you're one of those people that has literally never believed in the supreme power of Black Americans. I'll let you watch this video and let me know your honest opinion in the comment section. First, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing my videos, joining my membership, dropping super thanks. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, this video is just for educational purposes, not to come here ruffles on anyone's shoulder or defame anyone. With that being said, listen to all of this juicy and the best part of today's video and let me know what you think. Let's go watch. I will be back with commentaries. Let's go there.
I saw another creator do this and I wanted to ask ChatGPT to see what response I would get. What would happen if Black Americans left the USA? So here is what would happen if Black Americans left the USA, y'all. Number one, economic impact. Black Americans contribute $1.6 trillion annually to the United States budget. Number two, social and cultural impact. Black Americans have shaped music like blues and hip hop, fashion, sports, art worldwide, and the USA would lose this if we left. Number three, political impact. Black voters are a key Democratic voting bloc. Their absence will drastically change elections. So what do y'all think?
The next thing that would happen to America if every Black American left overnight is that America would suffer an immediate political and cultural fallout. Politically, the U.S. map would literally change overnight, and it would be for the worst. Black Americans, we make up one of the most powerful voting blocs in the history of this country. And in many states, our votes literally decide elections. My people, we went from picking cotton to picking presidents, from local school boards to the presidency. Without our presence, entire political movements would lose their foundation. And without the voting power of Black Americans, I hate to say this, but Jim Crow would immediately come back for my Latino, my Asian Americans that decided to stay in the United States of America. The conversation on civil rights would collapse. The conversation on social justice would collapse overnight. And no disrespect to my other minority groups, but history has sadly shown that progress in America has always been pushed forward by Black Americans.
Black people have an exit plan. And when I say exit plan, I'm not talking about a different state. I'm talking about somewhere else, period. Like somewhere else. And I high-key been feeling that way for a couple years now. Actually, a few years now. I would say at least 4 to 5 years, I've been feeling like, hey, this is probably not the place for me. I'm finally making this video now and putting it on my platform now because I truly feel like it's going to be more violence that happens because we're in really bad times right now. We're in times where like people are really getting sick of it. For example, what just happened to Charlie, like people are really like getting upset with our top 1%, which is understandable in a sense because, you know, what our top 1% advocates for, right? And in turn, it's going to be a lot of conservative people being violent towards whomever they deem is responsible. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be a lot of violence towards Black and brown people. It's going to be a lot of violence towards women. It's going to be just overall a lot of violence. And politically, this place that we're in is just not going to get any worse. I don't foresee it getting any better, So it's like when I say have an exit plan, I truly mean that. Do your research on what places suit you the most, where you would feel the most comfortable. And if you have the means, take trips to those places and really try to fill them out. But yeah. And don't have the mindset like, oh, this place is dangerous or this place is dangerous. Ain't no other place. Unless you're talking about somewhere in the Middle East, maybe, There's not many places that's more dangerous than the U.S. I'm going to just keep it a bean. I know there's going to be a lot of black people that's like, oh, ain't nobody going to run me out. Ain't nobody going to run me out of my city. It's bigger than that at this point. It's like, it's not about running you out. It's about, okay, I can spend my whole life fighting for change. I can spend my whole life fighting for justice. I can spend my whole life fighting, or I can actually be somewhere living my life. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I got a secret that America won't tell you. When black people stopped asking for freedom and finally took it, they became America's worst nightmare. And nobody proved that louder than the Black Seminoles. See, the Black Seminoles weren't asking to be free. They declared it. And they defended it with guns, blood, and a whole lot of smoke. They were formerly enslaved Africans who escaped southern plantations. And they linked up with the Seminole Nation in Florida. And together they built something that the U.S. hated more than anything. A community of free black and native people operating outside of white control. And when the U.S. decided that Florida looked too valuable, they sent troops to wipe them out. But the Black Seminoles didn't just fight back. They embarrassed the U.S. military. During the Second Seminole War, black and native warriors ambushed U.S. troops in the swamp, used guerrilla tactics so good the military had no answer, and dragged out the war so long that it became the most expensive Indian war in U.S. history. Translation: America threw everything they had at them and still got whooped. And when violence didn't work, the government did what it always does. Lied. They promised freedom if the Black Seminoles surrendered. Some trusted them. And of course, they ended up re-enslaved. The smarter ones booked it south to Mexico, where they actually earned real freedom and kept fighting colonizers down there too. Because once you know what real freedom tastes like, no threat, no bribe, no flag can make you ever crawl again. The Black Seminoles didn't just resist. They cost the U.S. millions. They forced the military to rethink everything. They made freedom a war, not a handshake. And that's why you don't hear about them in your school textbooks. Because they didn't fit America's cute little freedom story. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't beg. They took freedom by any means necessary. And honestly, that's the only way freedom ever really happens.
All right, so look, if black people and other melanated peoples are going to survive America, then we are going to have to learn how to work together. We start small, we build trust, and we expand it until it is something that they cannot destroy. No one is coming to save us, and the truth is, America is not a stable ship, it's a sinking one. The economy is crumbling, jobs are disappearing, and even the so-called good opportunities are just prettier cages. Continuing to pour our labor, our energy, our money into this system that is collapsing is not just a waste, but it is counterproductive to our own survival. We can do better. We deserve better. The question is, what are we gonna do? And that question only has one real answer. We build for ourselves, with our own hands, with our own minds, and our own people. It starts with a survival tribe. 3 to 5 people that you would bet your life on. The ones who will show up when you call. The ones who will share the last meal with you if you were hungry. The ones you trust to watch your children, your home, your back. A tribe is small, tight, and resilient. You share resources, split costs, trade skills, and protect each other from whatever comes. Now, when these survival tribes start to join forces, they form a village, and each tribe brings its own strengths. One grows food, another one has carpentry skills, another has transportation solutions, and another might know trade and barter. And the village becomes the place where resources circulate. We can get our needs met without having to beg this system for scraps. And every time we trade with the village instead of the system, we stop feeding a machine that's been feeding off of us for centuries. So then those villages turn into communities, larger, interconnected ecosystems where skill and trust spread. And those communities link up across the map, and we start to build a network. And that network is how we reach a leaderless unity. There's no single person to cut down, no single person to corrupt, just a living system of cooperation and survival. This is how we stop being consumers of a dying America and start to build our own world. We can start to become creators of our own future, and the internet has become a weapon for our survival. Just because our tribes don't share the same space doesn't mean we don't connect. The same network they built to monitor and distract us can be used to link us all together. We can share strategies, coordinate supply chains, teach skills, trade goods, and even pool resources without ever stepping foot in the same room. The internet can connect these distant tribes into one powerful network, bridging the gaps until villages can be formed. But let's be real. Getting to this point means that we have to unlearn some things. Right now, we're in the epidemic of loneliness. Even when we're surrounded by people, we still feel disconnected. The system raised us to be independent, to believe that asking for help is a weakness, to trust no one but ourselves. And that's exactly how they kept us isolated and unable to work together. That's exactly how they keep us spending money in their stores, paying rent to their banks, and working jobs that exhaust us instead of build for us. And if we want to survive, we have to break those habits. We have to learn the power of trust again, the power of sharing again. And that's not easy because we've all been hurt, we've all been let down, we've all been betrayed, we've all been disappointed by people. Either we learn how to rebuild that trust or we stay trapped in this shithole forever, holding on to a system that will never love us back. And this is where quantum liberation comes in. On the surface, it's just building tribes, villages, communities, and networks. But at the deeper level, it's about energy. Melanin isn't just a pigment, it's a superconductor, a biological receiver, a cosmic interface. It connects us beyond words. It's why we can feel a shift in the room before anyone speaks. It's why our culture travels faster than anything on Earth. When we ground that cultural frequency into real life-based systems, food co-ops, barter markets, skill exchanges, group defense, online income streams we control, then the growth is exponential. A solution in one tribe ripples to the whole village, then from the village to the community, then from the community to the network. And once the network has momentum, it moves like a force of nature. But understand this, either we work together or they win. The system survives by keeping us apart, by convincing us that we can't trust each other, and making us believe that our survival depends on investing in their survival. But it collapses the moment we pull our energy back, our labor, our spending, our belief, and pour it into our own network. And that also means doing for self. Building income we control, selling what we make, teaching what we know, creating digital products, offering services. So our survival isn't in the hands of these corporations or these jobs that could vanish any day. The internet gives us reach. The tribe gives us strength. And every dollar that we keep in our network isn't a dollar that goes to the machine that is trying to keep us down. So real quick, just want to go through and do a quick recap. Let's make this clear. If we want to survive America as melanated peoples, we're going to have to work together. And it starts with little survival tribes. These small tribes, these trusted crews, share resources, protect each other, and stay resilient. And tribes link into villages. Villages link into communities. And communities reach into a larger network. The internet becomes our bridge. It connects tribes even though we don't live in the same place. And it makes it so we can still share information, we can still share knowledge, we can still trade, and we can still organize without ever being in the same room. And we must stop investing in America and invest in ourselves. Continuing to invest in America is counterproductive to our own existence. We can do better. We deserve better. This network will create a leaderless unity powered by our melanin, our natural ability to connect, create, and move ideas faster than anything else on this planet. We feed this network with realistic income from online and offline sources. We learn to trust again, to share again, to break the habits that this system gave us, and we let it grow link by link until we are everywhere, exchanging, protecting, building, and thriving. That's the plan. That's the path. That's how we as melanated peoples can survive America.
I come to y'all because a lot of the times people don't know what's going on politically around me. Therefore, I can't have intellectual conversations with people and they give a damn. Or know who Peter Thiel is. Or know who J.D. Vance is. Or know of Gavin Newsom. They don't know what the fuck is going on, nor do they give a fuck. I just had like a low-key, high-key argument with my spouse. Without putting him on the spot, I just think it's ignorant to sit and think that none of this shit that's happening across states will not affect your black ass. Oh, it pisses me off when I hear black people say, I don't listen to politics. It's too much fear mongering. I don't keep up with this and that because, my kids need to eat today, or I have stuff and bills that I got to pay for today. I seen this video last night at 2:30 in the morning from Yaya. I'ma tag her. I watch her content frequently, but when I saw that she gave confirmation to something that was in the pit of my fucking stomach, that Americans, black Americans, need to be getting their passports and thinking of an exit plan, as folks around her that are in higher positions in law enforcement has advised her to, one, to stop speaking against this administration on these public platforms, or two, get you an exit plan, because although it don't feel bad right now, a lot of shit feels normal. That's what it's supposed to feel like. It's supposed to feel like it's normal that U.S. troops are being sent to Washington, New York, Chicago. We're supposed to feel that normalcy for a while, because when the escalation happens, y'all, we know, be no resistance. I thought in the beginning of this election that we all agreed that we would resist. Always knew that it was going to be us. Some of us are stuck dealing with this bullshit that people voted into office. No other option than to stay and either fight, cave, or resist, or die trying. You have some of us that just don't pay attention at all.
2025 and 2026 vindicated black people in a way that I don't even think we realized. A lot of racist Americans and immigrants would often come to this country and dogpile on black people about racism, saying that we were lazy, that, racism wasn't as bad as what we were making it out to be, racism this and this and this. And now that we're in 2026 and racism is kicking everybody's ass, nobody's spared. Even the racist isn't spared from racism. Now everybody's like, oh crap, we have a racism problem here. And some of the groups that I'm seeing talking about racism and, they're explaining their experiences, they almost sound similar to what black people were complaining about for 100 years.
Okay, let me walk you through something most people have never even allowed themselves to imagine. If America ever had a Black Truth and Reconciliation Commission, like a real one, with teeth, this country would not come out the same on the other side. Like, at all. And once you understand what it would actually require, you start to see why we never had one. A Black TRC wouldn't start with speeches. It would start with evidence. And I'm talking the things they kept buried for decades. Plantation ledgers showing forced breeding, banks redlining maps, university records of enslaved labor, medical files from forced sterilization, police logs from broken investigation, FBI files on everyday Black organizers, corporate profit sheets built on prison labor, federal memos that literally mapped out discrimination. And before anybody talks about healing, we'd finally get the truth. On record. In broad daylight. America loves amnesia. A TRC doesn't let you forget. And now this is where South Africa comes up, because we know they had their TRC. Because South Africa did try something that most countries never attempt. They put apartheid on the record. They forced public testimony. They made the violence undeniable. That took courage, and it mattered. But here's the part that people don't like to talk about. A lot of perpetrators confessed. A lot of people cried. A lot of people went home afterwards. Very few lost wealth. Very few lost land. Very few lost political power. So what South Africa showed us is this. Truth without consequence doesn't dismantle systems. It documents them. And that's not a failure of the people who testified. That's a failure of accountability. Now, in a Black TRC, nobody's dragging random neighbors to microphones. We're talking institutions being forced to say the quiet part on camera. Police departments, school boards, state governments, banks, hospitals, universities, intelligence agencies, corporations. Every single one would have to answer one question. Well, I guess two, really. How did you harm Black people? Where are the receipts? And they wouldn't be allowed to dodge it. Imagine the elders, the people who lived through Jim Crow and sundown towns, even though I know they still exist. Redlining, housing discrimination, medical abuse, COINTELPRO. Finally, sitting down and saying, this is what happened to us. This is what they did to our family. This is what they took. This is what we survived. And nobody interrupts them. Nobody demands proof. Nobody calls it the past. The testimony itself becomes the archive. You can't gaslight a nation when the whole country is listening. And if the truth is on the table, the solutions have to be real too. Reparations wouldn't look like, here's a one-time check. They would look like returning stolen land, eliminating debt caused by discriminatory lending, restoring generational wealth that was blocked, rebuilding intentionally underfunded schools, investing in Black maternal health, redirecting public money into Black communities, dismantling policies that were built to cage or control us. A Black TRC wouldn't ask what's fair. It would ask what was taken and then calculate from there. And here's the part nobody's ready for. After a real Truth and Reconciliation Commission for Black Americans, this country will never again be able to say we didn't know. It wasn't that bad. It was a long time ago. Not all institutions were involved, because everything would be on record. The truth would finally outrank the myth. And once the truth is public, America doesn't get to hide behind innocence anymore. So yeah, if this country ever held a Black Truth and Reconciliation Commission, like a real one, it wouldn't just be about looking back. It would force this nation to admit what it did, what it built, what it stole, and who paid the price. It would change how we understood the past, and what we tolerate in the present, and what we demand going forward. And honestly, that's exactly why we've never had one. Because the moment Black truth becomes official record, America has to stop pretending. And that would change everything. Now imagine if we actually got that. What questions would you ask? What would you want to see? Let me know in the comments.
Anyways, welcome back, guys. And I just did a little bit of research since a lot of people have never valued Black Americans. They've never seen any good thing that Black Americans are actually doing. So, just a simple research like what would really happen if Black Americans just disappear, just decide to leave, just decide that nobody want to listen to them, so they have to just go. Let's listen to what is going to happen. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and play it.
Americans would represent the single greatest disruption in United States history, as the community is not just a demographic group, but a fundamental pillar of the nation's economic, cultural, and moral infrastructure. Here are 20 specific things that would happen. 1. The collapse of professional sports. The NBA and NFL would effectively cease to function in their current forms. Over 70% of the NBA and nearly 60% of the NFL consists of Black athletes. These multi-billion-dollar industries would lose their star power, global viewership, and revenue overnight. 2. Trillions in lost consumer spending. Black Americans have a combined buying power of over $1.6 trillion. The sudden removal of this capital would trigger an immediate retail recession, bankrupting thousands of brands that rely on this demographic for growth and trend setting. 3. A massive healthcare staffing void. Black Americans represent a massive portion of the healthcare workforce, particularly in nursing and home healthcare. The U.S. healthcare system, already strained, would face a total collapse in patient care capacity, especially in urban centers. 4. Bankruptcy of major cities. Cities like Atlanta, Detroit, Baltimore, and Memphis, where Black residents make up a significant portion of the tax base, would face immediate municipal bankruptcy as property and sales tax revenues vanish. 5. The end of American soft power. U.S. global influence is largely driven by its culture. Without Black innovators in music, hip-hop, jazz, R&B, fashion, and language, the American brand would lose its appeal and dominance on the world stage. 6. A national security crisis. A significant percentage of the U.S. military is Black. Their departure would leave the armed forces dangerously understaffed, compromising domestic defense and international operations simultaneously. 7. Total political realignment. The Democratic Party would lose its most loyal and consistent voting bloc. This would likely lead to a long-term shift toward a one-party state or a complete fracturing of the existing political system. 8. Logistics and supply chain failure. Black workers are disproportionately represented in transportation, warehousing, and the postal service. The movement of goods across the country would grind to a halt, leading to empty grocery shelves within days. 9. A crisis in the justice system. The legal field would lose thousands of judges, public defenders, and civil rights attorneys. This would not only create a backlog of cases, but would remove the primary voices advocating for systemic reform. 10. The death of the melting pot narrative. The U.S. would lose its moral standing as a multicultural democracy. The exodus would be seen globally as the ultimate proof that the American dream failed for one of its most foundational populations. 11. Real estate market crash. Millions of homes would hit the market or be abandoned simultaneously. This massive oversupply would cause home values to plummet nationwide, wiping out the wealth of the remaining middle class. 12. Education system brain drain. Universities and K-12 schools would lose hundreds of thousands of educators and administrators. Historically, Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, would sit empty, erasing over a century of academic heritage and research. 13. Labor costs skyrocket. With tens of millions of workers gone, the remaining labor force would have immense leverage. While wages might rise, the cost of services, from childcare to construction, would become unaffordable for the average person. 14. Global power shift to receiving nations. Wherever this population settles, likely nations in Africa or the Caribbean, there would be an unprecedented brain gain. These regions would see a massive influx of doctors, engineers, and creatives, potentially creating a new global superpower. 15. The loss of the American conscience. Black Americans have historically led the charge for civil rights and social justice. Without this conscience, the country might see a rapid rollback of civil liberties for other minority groups. 16. Technological innovation stalls. Black engineers and scientists at companies like NASA, Google, and SpaceX are critical to innovation. Their absence would delay major technological milestones in space exploration by decades. 17. Failure of public transportation. In major hubs like New York City, Chicago, and DC, public transit systems are heavily operated by Black staff. Without them, the commuter economy would fail, as people lose the ability to get to work. 18. Religious and community breakdown. The Black church is a primary provider of social services in America. Its disappearance would leave millions of people, including non-Black residents, without food banks, community centers, and spiritual leadership. 19. Reverse gentrification. Areas that were recently gentrified would likely become ghost neighborhoods, as the cultural and economic ecosystem that supported them evaporates. 20. A search for identity. The remaining population would be forced to redefine what it means to be American. The nation's history, music, food, and social movements are so intertwined with the Black experience that the country would effectively become a different nation entirely. Would you like to explore how this scenario might specifically impact the global tech economy?
I believe you all heard that. It is crystal clear. See, the truth is, Black people have power. Black people have every right. Black people have everything to ensure that every single thing in the US either goes up or come down. Just a little shake of Black people saying we're no longer investing our dollar into the white market, it was a whole lot. The truth is, as an immigrant especially, or as anybody that is in America, or as a white American as well, respect Black people, respect them. Like, there is nothing literally you can tell me that these people cannot do. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But anyway, this is just but a few, right? To say that there are thousands of things that will go wrong, that will go sour if Black Americans eventually decide to exit. And I just want to show some little advice to my Black Americans. Like you see from one of the clips here, where this lady literally said, you need, as a Black person, to have an exit plan. It is very, very important. But anyways, thank you so much for staying stick and hook with me to the end of this video. If you have not subscribed, subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, subscribing, and also dropping commentaries. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, this is just for educational purposes, not to come here ruffle on anyone's shoulder or defame anybody. With that being said, with no further ado, I do like I say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.